I'm going to regret this, aren't I? Hi, everyone. I'm Zach Reinhardt, here to review the new Utada Hikaru record, Fantôme. Utada Hikaru is a pop icon who really should need no introduction. She's been at it for years and has always been fairly prolific up until her 2010 hiatus, where she, I guess, just wanted to get out of the spotlight for a while, be a normal person for a bit. Um, but now she's back, returning to the soul crushing music industry with a new album. And a responsible reviewer would tell you how this compares to her last work and what's changed and what's stayed the same, how this is more modern in some ways. They would talk about what's happened in the 6 year hiatus where her mother committed suicide and she had her first child. All events that have undoubtedly left their mark on her music. But there are already a bunch of articles about that stuff, and I don't consider myself a very responsible reviewer. So I'm just here to tell you that the album is. It's not very good. This album kicks off with the track Michi, which starts off with these kind of plucky, staccato, trancy synth chords that sound like something I could have made in between classes in FL Studio in high school. The song then brings in these overproduced piano chords with synth pads and electric drums. And just overall, the instrumental is really bad. Like, it is undermade and overproduced. Like, there's just not enough here. And the vocals don't really fill in any of that space because, for some reason, instead of flexing any of her vocal talent and her vocal chops, Utada just sings a pretty generic pop tune with some incredibly played out and boring vocal melodies. This song is horrible. Like, there's no sugarcoating it. I do not like literally anything in this song. And these are all problems that really plague this whole album. Utada doesn't really flex her vocal muscles much at all on this thing. She just sings pretty generic, kind of subdued pop songs throughout this whole album. And while she's a bit better on the ballads, she doesn't really have any like highlight moments of really great vocals or really powerful notes or anything like that. Which is unfortunate because she's capable of that, and it's also unfortunate because the instrumentals really needed some good vocals on top of them to make these work. The instrumentals and the beats on here sound half baked at best. Some of these songs don't even sound complete, and there's just such little intrigue, and there's no dynamics, and nothing changes. There's no like color to any of these tracks. I feel like I'm in some sort of hospital room with these instrumentals. The song Nijikan Dake no Vacances is an incredibly generic track that's only slightly interesting because Shino Ringo makes an appearance on it. Utada Hikaru once again opts for a bland and boring vocal performance over this thing. And the instrumental is, once again, undercooked and just boring in general. There's just not much going on with it. I mean, the strings come in and give it a decent kind of direction to build in. And the final chorus makes for a decent climax to the song, but it's really pretty boring aside from that. And unfortunately, that is one of the better songs off of the whole first half of the record. We don't get a really good track until track 7, Manatsu no Toriyame, which is a tender, emotional piano ballad that goes over really well and shows that there's still some life in Utada. The piano sounds rich and isn't overproduced for once. The vocal melody is really pretty, and the strings really give it a nice direction and help it build and maintain some intrigue over its pretty long runtime. The song's like 5.5 minutes. And while I'm not a huge fan of the kind of sub-bassy electronic kick drums that come in on this track, I don't really feel that they detract much from the solid performance from Utada. She really comes off as very emotional on this track. And the piano is played very well. And just overall, the song goes over really well. But unfortunately, I have to sit through 6 tracks of boring or bad or both songs just to get to this track. Then we move on to track 8, Koya no Okami. It's a really tight race for worst song on this album, but this is one of the top contenders. This song consists of Utada Hikaru fucking around on a drum machine for a little while, like this is the first time she's ever seen one. Like, it's literally just drum machine that sounds like it comes from an old LL Cool J track, and Utada singing on top of it. And it has these really cheesy brass parts. And I looked on the credits for this song, and it says all vocals, programming, and brass arrangement by Utada Hikaru. And then it lists a whole bunch of musicians, brass musicians and stuff that were on this. And then there's one line that says additional drum programming. And it lists 2 people. 2 of them. There were, if we include Utada, 3 people on this horrible, stupid, really bad, cheesy, like old hip hop drum machine loop. And then, after she realizes that what she's been doing for the first half of this song is horrible, she just slips into her normal kind of piano-based R&B stuff that's fairly generic and forgettable. And while it does sound better than the beginning of this track, I mean, somebody strangling a cat sounds better than the beginning of this track. Like, the intro is truly, truly horrible. It really makes me wonder who was producing this album. Like, who let this get on here? Who said this was a good idea? Hold on, I'm going to go check. Oh. It, it, it was her dad. Moving on, we've got track 9, Boukyaku, which is a rap track, I guess. It features Ko, the rap sensation. And it has probably the worst beat I've ever heard anybody rap on, at least in a very long time. It's this distant, kind of cavernous, like reverbed kick drum far in the background, laying in a bed of spacey, flavorless synthesizers. And while I like Ko's performance on here, I think his verse is good, the beat is just so bland and undercooked and just like, it sounds incomplete. Like, there just needs to be more on it. There's no melody at all. And when Utada finally comes in with her vocal part, I will say it's probably better, but only because the song was just so devoid of melody that Adding vocals to give it some just improves it tenfold. But it's still a just really generic and boring track, which is unfortunate because like I like Ko's part on here, but the instrumental is just so damn boring. Then moving on to track 10, the second to last track, Jinsei Saiko no Hi. I'm not really going to go in depth on this track. I just want to say it's bad and that you should listen to this song and then listen to that Backstreet Boys track, I Want It That Way. That was like their big single. There's some like weird, uncanny similarities between this song and that track. It's kind of funny, but the song is bad. Then moving on to the last track, Sakura Nagashi. This is another piano ballad, and it's another really good piano ballad. I would say it's probably the best track on the album. Once again, the piano sounds really good. The strings mix in very slowly and really complement the piano very well. And Utada Hikaru's vocal performance is really on point and really emotional on this track. She puts on a really solid performance, and there's some really great moments of vocal harmonies on here that sound really nice. It's just a really like solid track through and through. It's just on a really bad album. I don't know what else to say. It's not a good album. It's not enjoyable. It is ranging from bad to boring most of the time, with the occasional highlight of a good track, usually a ballad. The instrumentals are almost always just like half written, they sound incomplete, and the vocal performances are pretty generic and forgettable. I'm feeling a 5 out of 10 on this album. It's just not very good at all in really any way. Now, I don't think Utada Hikaru used to be some incredible musician, and this is a like really horrible comeback for her. Like, I don't think she was ever really great. I guess it's probably better than her like really electronic techno-y stuff that she was doing just before her hiatus, but it's pretty low on the totem pole of Japanese pop music. But that's me. New Utada Hikaru record, Fantôme. It's not good. It's not good at all. Don't buy it. Like hit me up for album recommendations in the comments or something. Like I there's better music to listen to than this. Peace. Also, before I go, I just wanted to mention that I have a new EP out under Harsh Noise Movement Records. If you're into like punk and noise and like noise rock and feedback and screaming and loud aggressive shit, if you're into bands like Hijo Kaidan or maybe the Ghetto Ghetto Gay Gay, or if you like that last Loop Rider album, I'm going to leave a little link in the description. Check it out. If you like it, buy it. There will also be physical CDs available in the coming weeks. But yeah, just a little self promotion to close out the video. Have a good day.